Come on, man, what's going on here? Dang E-unit problems anyway. Seems like they're a bit of a hassle to get into, and they can be if you don't have the right tools or the knowledge how to do them. I want to show you guys how I get into these E-units, rebuild them, refresh them, make them consistent, so that way you're not going to have problems like this when you're restoring your locomotives. I'm Ron with Classic Model Trains. Follow along. I'll show you what it takes to get this done. What I've got here is an E-unit jig. It's custom made by PE Designs Manufacturing. Dad's name's Paul Evergash, PE. I talked to his son named Danny, and I asked him, I go, hey, I've had this jig for a while. This isn't a paid promotion or nothing like that. They didn't do anything for me. I didn't ask for anything. I just wanted to say, can I use your name, your logo, and tell people about this jig? Because I used to do these things by hand, with just a couple pliers and try to rip them open and line it up again and put it back together. What a hassle. After I got this jig and I figured out how to use it, I've done 2 or 3 of them. Finally, I decided to make a video on it. So that way I look like I'm somewhat intelligent while we're putting this thing together and I'm showing you what to do. Because it still takes a little bit. So let me show you how I go about doing it. I'm gonna have an upper camera shooting right over here, and I'm gonna have this little camera here so we can get a side view, and then I'll use whatever views is the most important one during the video to show you how I'm getting into these things, because it's really pretty simple. Let's get started. We want to get into this thing, we got to get it out of the chassis. They all come out basically the same way, although they're in different locations. All of these things that I've ever been into, they're all the exact same E-unit. They all rebuild the same way, they're all wired up the same way. This little feller here holds it in to the chassis, pull him out like this. This wire here is always your pickup wire coming from the juices is down under here. These 2 yellow ones, they're going to the brushes. This is an older one where they're screwed on instead of soldered. Sure. They always seem to have this going on where they make the wires really long and then just kind of wrap them up. That one is going to the electromagnet wiring right here for the motor. This one here, they didn't even solder it. It was just twisted together. Interesting enough. Did they solder it? Sure they did. Throw a little heat on it and then pull it apart. Then our main power coming in from the pickups. And the Lionel boys, they like to, ow, jeez, that got me. Ow! They like to twist everything and then solder it, so it makes it hard to take apart. So here's our chassis. Pickup wire here, electromotor here. We'll set that to the side for now because this is what we're focusing on. Now this pickup wire down under here, it's soldered in right there. So if we warm this up, I got to get a hold of it, warm it up. There. So now you got all these wires coming out and it looks like there's a lot going on, but there really isn't. Let's get in there because we want to service up these fingers and service up that drum, probably put some new ones in it. Let me show you how to go about doing that. So they show up. It's best to put the thing on a vise. I've got this spun around backwards so that way it's underneath the camera, so it shows up better. We're gonna get this stuff here out of the way. Get this thumb screw opened up here. So it's gonna go in upside down. Right here's the roller. So we're going to clip this jig here onto the holder. It's gonna center up in here. We're going to get the reversing lever out of the way. This part right here is going to end up being clamped in there. And we're going to have this bar, and it'll end up getting clamped in there. So let's screw this feller in, snug him up. We're going to get this guy over here, snug him up. Now we got one of these. We're going to come in here, and we're going to pop this thing open like this. See, now we're able to take out these lower fingers because we've opened it up. Can probably get this roller out. Yep, like so. And then these lower 4 fingers, we can get in here, spread this, and work on getting them out. And work on getting, and then get them, and then pull them, There. So now we've got the E-unit with all the stuff pulled out, which is really kind of the easy part right there. This little guy here holds this plunger up. It's going to go in this hole right here. Sits like that, and this keeps this up to keep this pawl out of the way when you go back into reassembling it. Now this has probably got some grease and stuff like that in it. So I'm going to take it outside and give it a with some brake parts cleaner. Don't have to tell me 500,000 times to wear some protection when I'm using brake parts cleaner. Yeah? Sure. We'll have this plunger to be nice and free, really move around. That's what we're hoping for. Pretty happy with that. This drum is pretty funky also. And I normally put a replacement one in it, but I don't have one. So I'm going to clean this up best as possible. We'll just start with degreasing it. And we're going to take the fiberglass pencil after it and really make it shine. Let this dry and we'll get on to the next step. Take one of these here and just shine all of this up. Here it is all shinied up right now, but I did kind of give up on this after about 22 seconds because I knew I had one of these just laying around with 1,000 grit in it. Little wispy wheels here that do the zzz. Get these from Amazon, and that makes it look like that. Now I'm going to take some of this No Ox ID. This is something I'm trying out on all conductive surfaces because I don't run these things all the time and they sit and then they get corroded up again. So this stuff here with a tactical Q-tip, I'm going to apply a thin coat of it on these copper contact strips down into here. I'm not going to leave it on. We're just going to put it on and then we're going to give it a second and then we're going to wipe it back off. This No Ox ID is supposed to be good at preventing corrosion from coming back. And another thing we want to make sure is I don't know if it's chemically conductive, but if you were to use something that was, let's say like a conductive grease, as those fingers are drug across here, you don't want it to have any continuity going on right here. But if you were using a conductive grease, it could conduct through it and it would create problems. This is actually like an analog on-off switch is what it is. So as we get this all coated up, give it a second, I'll wipe all this stuff off and we'll be in business. Now I got the grease all wiped off of them and it leaves kind of a tarnish. It looks like it's doing stuff, good stuff. I'm hoping. I also put it on the fingers because we don't want these to get tarnished up from not being used also. If you play with your trains all the time, this wouldn't be an issue. Now that we got our components ready, our new fingers, our reconditioned, cleaned up drum, let's put this back together. That's the hard part. We're about halfway through the video right now. This is an excellent time to do a little bit of history on this E-unit right here. I also want to break out my channel members and scroll them through at this time while we go through this. I want to give them some recognition for helping me support the $1 Club layout and support the channel just in general through the memberships. Now this E-unit here, it's not 100% made by Lionel. I mean, they didn't think of it. Ives Corporation back in the day, they had the premier E-unit. It was important because back in the day, to switch the locomotives, you had to go up to the lever and you'd have to physically move a lever, which would change the polarity of the brushes and the electromagnet. It wasn't as much fun. Ives came up with this in 1924. Lionel wanted it bad. World War I was tough on Ives because they didn't have any contracts during the war to make stuff, so they didn't have a bunch of money. Lionel and American Flyer and Marx, they had money because they were making stuff for the war effort. Ives kind of went out of business. Lionel was quick to scoop them up because they wanted the patent for the unit. They redesigned it, made it a little bit smaller, and reintroduced it in 1929. Come to find out that Lionel also had two-position E-units, so it was just forward, backward. It didn't have the neutral position in the center of it. I did not know that. I knew Marx had them and American Flyer, but I didn't know that Lionel had them. It's the internet. Sometimes they lie to me though. Sometimes I give you this information because I found it on the internet and it's bad. I'm sorry about that when it happens. Of course I don't know it till guys start commenting, hey, you don't, okay. So that's where I get all this from. It's not like I've got this in my head all the time. There's not enough room in there. Lionel used to signify the model locomotive numbers with an E, like an 1888 E, because it was an option, I guess, initially, but then they started putting them in every single locomotive. So they dropped the E designation on the locomotive numbers because everybody just knew that they all had reversing units in them. After World War II, post-war era, 1945 is when they introduced the lockout lever. So that way you can lock it into a specific position if you so desired. Apparently other people also like to call the E unit the evil unit. because they're so difficult to work on unless you got one of these cool jigs right here to take it apart, put it back together. They were a bugger, so guys would call them the evil units. Apparently in the 1990s, the Lionel Corporation at that time started making the electronic E-unit, so they didn't have this electromechanical switch taking place. So you got rid of having to listen to that buzz all the time, and it made them a lot more quieter and better. Except for the fact that when they break, you couldn't fix them because they're electronic and you don't know what's working out. Okay. Yeah, that happens sometimes. Now, if you're wondering where I get parts for these things at, you can get these things on eBay. You can just type in Lionel E-Unit fingers. They come up. You can buy your kits, fingers, drums, buy them in bulk. You can get them from Jeff Kane out at the train tender out in upstate New York. And also coming soon, you can buy them from me. I've been busy putting together an online store, classicmodeltrains.shop, because apparently there's a classicmodeltrains.com of some fellers that make tin plate Oscale or standard gauge locomotives and stuff, and they're busy and they don't want to sell that thing because it's theirs, the .com one. So I had to go with .shop, classicmodeltrains.shop. This is what it looks like right here as I'm building it. And that is a tough row to hoe because I don't know how to code. I don't know how to use things that say, no code required, just click. It's been a week and a half and this, oh my God, it's hard. So I'm working on that. I'll let you know when that site is completely launched. And then we'll have a lot of these common repair parts that you'll just be able to buy from me. And you can also pick up this E-Unit jig that I'm using here. You can get that on the eBay also. Here I've got this little thumbnail right here. So you can buy it direct, which might be a little cheaper because they don't have to pay the 32% that they got to give to eBay. Or if you like buying off eBay, order it up right here. Now is an excellent time to do Classic Model Trains Classic Model of the Week. Do you guys know who this is? If you do, put in the comments down below. If you don't, hang out till the end. I'll let you know who it is. Let's get back into this repair. So this here is moving nice and smoothly. And the old timers, they swear up and down, don't put anything on that. They're serious. So I'll believe them. We're gonna put this back in the jig. Put it in like that. We're gonna get this little fella right here. He goes in and he sits over on this side. Like so. And this is holding this plunger up so that this pawl it's out of the way. See, if it's down, then it's almost always in the way when you're trying to work in here. This, better. Now our four fingers, they go down first, down under here. Don't really need the jig for putting these guys in, unless you feel like you need to spread this out. See if I can spread this. We're trying to line up these little grooves. This is a lock right here. This is a lock right here that goes in to the slots down at the bottom. I'm going to take it out. These, once you get them in, they usually don't flop around and try to fall back out on you when you're not looking. Trying to get one end in, just one end in anywhere. See, I've already got the fingers kind of wonkied up. Spread her in, and we're working on getting this in. One end is in partially right there. Now if I can get this pushed in, we're really going to have something. There, almost. I'm trying to get it perfectly lined up with that. And that is in really quite good shape. So we got the lower four fingers in. Put this back into jig. Now is an excellent time to put the roller in. And as you see, it's got pawls that go a certain direction. And as this little feller goes up and down, it's got to be able to grab the pawls. So we're going to put it in this direction so the pawls are kind of coming around. They're facing forward in a clockwise direction. We're going to use this jig to hold that. We're going to lift this guy up, put this in with that little groove going down. That's going to keep that pawl out of the way for us. My fingers, I want them to all be like the same. Since they push down on the drum, push them in if you want to increase the tension. I keep bumping that thing with my finger and then losing everything I've done so far. We're going to put this in. And the little nibs on the ends, they got these holes that they got to go in. Then our bottom two fingers, we're going to get it in here and line it up in the slots that it's supposed to go into. Once we know we got all of this all lined up, this one's in. This pin here, we got to make sure it's going in. Here. This one, I'm just using my thumbs as a slight pressure, pushing it in. We got that in. Now we can really get on it and give it a squish. Because I know everything that's in the jig is in. Stuff is being held. And what I really want to do is get this wedge right here. That's where most of the pressure is going to be exerted, to hold that together. Squeeze this, pull this out, release that, and our E-unit is now reassembled. Fantastic. All from the joys of this little feller right there. These color codes here, they all got something to say. They got something to do with this way this whole thing's worked. This coil right here, of course, you need one end going to the power pickup, which is going to be this, and then the other end is coming around here to this. So when you lock the E-unit in to power, to cycle, this one is basically going to ground through this, or common. We're actually going to call it common since it's AC. So we got to have this over on the power input as well. This black wire is the main power coming in to the E-unit, and it's going to come into this. So I'm going to fight this like nobody's business. Maybe I can put it up here so it's not going to be such a fight. Hold this gently, just some. Don't get crazy with it. I'm going to get under here. I'm going to warm this up. Snip off this extra because we don't need it to be too long. I got this vise on here backwards so y'all can see what's going on. I'm going to take this coil wire. We're going to solder it right there so that our E-unit electromagnet has got some juice going to it. So we know this is our main power in from the center rail of the tracks, and we know that the rest of it is just chassis, pickup, neutral. So if I do this, the E-unit should cycle if I put some juice to the thing. Oh, okay, we got to put that on. And that thing is dropping up and down every time. It is a beautiful thing. It took me a while to rig all this up. And I've always wanted to figure out exactly how do these E-units reverse the juices that's going on. So I've got power coming in over here from my test bench. The positive over here, and then the ground is hooked onto the E-unit over here, or the neutral. So that cycles our E-unit relay to spin the drum. Now I've got these two rigged up to the wires that come out over here. It appears that the green wire is the one that goes to the field winding of the electromagnet. And then one blue and one yellow goes to the brushes. Now when I throw the juice on, I've got these all hooked up and I try to color code everything. Our commons are black and green, which is here, blue and yellow. Juice it up. So see our reverse, it's got continuity and it's beeping. So we switch the direction, kill power. Of course the drum is still in the same spot, that's why there's still continuity here. Now that put it into neutral. Come down again, forward. So the green and the yellow now have the juice flowing between them. Of course, it's still got juice flowing through them, but there's no voltage, so the motor's not going to turn. There's just continuity. Comes up again, neutral. Down again, this is going to come on. The green and the blue. So it's just switching. The continuity puts the juice through here and here. And then in neutral, of course, nothing. And then it puts juice from here to here. I always wondered how that works. And now I know. I'm going to throw this back in this motor. We're going to solder up the electromagnet, the green one. Just going to touch it here just real quick. We're just going to do this kind of a quick down and dirty. Let's see here. What direction was this guy in? Was he in like this? I think he was. We got to get this guy up out of the way so we can hook the juice up to it. I knew there was something going on. So put him there. This one here is main power from the pickup. Main power in up here, right there. These two are gonna go to a brush, any brush, doesn't matter. Completely irrelevant. Just something quick, just to test it. I have done nothing else to this motor. I haven't cleaned up the armature or nothing. We just did that to the E-unit. Let's see what it does. Of course, that thing sounds like it needs some lubrication for sure. So that's all there is to it. Nice and simple, isn't it? I think it is. Take a look at this right here. This is the locomotive. I had to take it apart to get this out, to work on it. And this is a project that's coming up. I'm gonna work on it this week. This is my influence of this one right here. And I've got these right here. So this will kind of let you know what we got going on coming up. I call them the fantasy scheme. I got about 4 locomotives I want to paint up into fantasy schemes. Plus I want to build another pacemaker locomotive. I already miss it. I've got a big old pile that I bought, just waiting for a fresh up on it also. So, our classic model of the week, McGrath. You guys might know her mostly from the 1978 movie Convoy. If you guys want to check out another cool Lionel repair video, check out this one right here. I'm Ron with Classic Model Trains. Talk to you next week. Bye-bye.